wake that ass up.
Early in the morning.
The Breakfast Club.
That's really true, too.
What?
There really is no Big Three no more. It's just Big Kendrick. And it's hilarious listening to that record now because of all the drama that verse caused.
It sure did.
Who knew we was about to get the most exciting, greatest hip-hop battle of all time?
That's crazy. I was just listening to Not Like Us on the way in.
Hey, good morning, Jess.
Good morning,
What's
Jessica
up?
Robin.
Good morning. How are you guys?
Good. Well, let's get in some front page news. Good morning, Morgan.
Good morning, y'all. Happy Tuesday. Yes, they not like us. Let's get into it. Vice President Kamala Harris was on the campaign trail yesterday to mark 2 years since the U.S. Supreme Court overturned Roe v. Wade. Now, the VP spoke to a crowd in Phoenix, Arizona, taking a full court press with the issue. Let's hear more from the VP.
2 years ago today, the highest court in our land took a constitutional right that had been recognized from the people of America, from the women of America. This is not a partisan issue and doesn't have to be a partisan issue. Momentum is on our side. We as Americans feel very strongly about our freedoms.
I mean, it's good to hear from her, but hearing it from Trump is better. Like, I've been saying for months they should be constantly running ads with Trump taking credit, for getting Roe v. Wade overturned. Because, he did appoint the judges that allowed them to do that. I think I heard him yesterday at a rally somewhere taking credit for it again.
Yeah, so she added that nobody could afford to passively sit by and watch this happen, while also calling out former President Trump, like you said, for his selection of 3 members of the U.S. Supreme Court who voted to overturn Roe v. Wade. Now, the vice president has so far held 80 events on abortion rights across the country per the Biden campaign. Now, both President Biden and former President Trump are gearing up for this upcoming presidential debate that is scheduled for Thursday at 9 p.m. on CNN. Mark your calendars.
I can't wait.
Biden is hunkering down with his top aides and advisors at Camp David, holding mock debates, and isn't expected to surface or make any public appearances until the debate in Atlanta on Thursday. Meanwhile, Trump continues to hit the campaign trail. During one of his recent stops, he asked his supporters for advice on handling the upcoming presidential debate on Thursday. Let's hear more from former President Trump.
Should I be tough and nasty and just say you're the worst president in history, or should I be nice and calm and let him speak? I can't even imagine him being elected. Can you imagine 4 more years? These are the worst 4 years.
Yeah, so Trump has been meeting with senators and allies to review policies that are likely to come up when the two political rivals face off. Trump has met with Senators J.D. Vance of Ohio and Marco Rubio of Florida, among others, in recent days. Now, this comes as Donald Trump is outraising President Biden following his felony conviction last month. Federal Election Commission's report the Trump campaign and Republican National Committee has a combined $171 million on hand, probably more since I reported. I'm sure it's actively raising, and compared to the Biden campaign's $157 million. And they say that's thanks to an enormous surge in donations over the past 2 months following Trump's New York City hush money trial. The Trump campaign said it brought in more than $53 billion in online donations in the 24 hours after the former president was found guilty on 34 felony counts of falsifying business records. Yeah, it's getting him more money.
Did he decide which way he said he was going to go? Is he going to go nice, or is he going to go rude and not let him
He's
stay?
fluid. See, that's the thing, right? Like, he's fluid because nobody cares about the truth when the lie is more entertaining. So whatever Biden is given, Trump gonna match that energy or exceed it. And he can go either which way. He don't have to stick to the facts. That's the beauty of being a liar.
I will say, Charlamagne, you're right on the fact that Trump is definitely entertaining TV for sure, or entertaining overall. But it's not true that people don't care about the real issues. There are people who actually care about the real issues. I'm just saying.
I guarantee you on Friday morning, you're going to be coming in here and you will not be talking about no real issues. You're going to be trying to, but the thing that's going to overshadow it is something wild that Trump said that everybody's going to end up reporting on. Guarantee
or some meme, some facial expression.
Yep.
You're probably right. So with that being said, Trump is not out of hot water just yet. He still has the classified documents case. So the judge overseeing that is weighing a potential gag order against the former president. Now, federal prosecutors are requesting a court order barring Trump from making unfounded accusations against the FBI. They cited Trump's mischaracterization of the FBI's policy around the use of deadly force following the 2022 search of Mar-a-Lago. Now, the former president's attorneys called the proposed gag order a direct attack on Trump's First Amendment rights. So here we are again with another judge possibly trying to impose a gag order on the former president. I don't want him talking too much.
Yeah, right.
But the good news for him is that despite, like I mentioned before, he is raising more money than Biden, and new polls show that he has a comfortable lead over Biden among young voters. CBS News YouGov poll found 61% of likely voters younger than the age of 30 support, they support Biden, whereas 38% support Trump. So I had that. Biden actually has more support. But, these polls, they tend to go up and down. So we'll see what happens. And Thursday is definitely going to be a defining moment in that.
All right. Well, that is front page news. Thank you, Morgan. See you next hour.
Peace,
All
Morgan.
right. Talk to y'all next.
All right. Everybody else, get it off your chest. 800-585-1051. If you need to vent, phone lines are wide open again. 800-585-1051. Call us up right now. It's The Breakfast Club. Good morning.
Wake that ass up.
Early in the morning.
The Breakfast Club.
Morning, everybody. It's DJ NV, Jess Hilarious, Charlamagne the Guy. We are The Breakfast Club. Let's get back in some front page news. Good morning, Morgan.
Good morning, guys. So, and of course, my girl, Jess.
Hey, girl.
Let's get into a BIN, Black Information Network exclusive. So yesterday, the State Department and YouTube are announcing a partnership in support of the department's Global Music Diplomacy Initiative. I had the pleasure of attending this event in the Treaty Room at the State Department. Secretary of State Antony Blinken and YouTube's global head of music, Leor Cohen, announced the move on Monday, part of a global effort to elevate music as a diplomatic platform to promote peace and democracy. Now, Secretary Blinken also talked about the power of music. Let's hear more from the Secretary of State, Antony Blinken.
All of us are here because we believe in the power of music to inspire us, to lift us, to stir us, but also to communicate and to connect, to express who we are, where we come from, what we value, what we love, and to learn the same from others. In that way, and I've seen this over more than 30 years in this business, music has a unique power in diplomacy, introducing others to our history, to our culture, creating ties that cross borders, strengthening relationships between our people and even our governments. The number of times I've been able to connect with counterparts, even in governments that have different views than our own, through music, it's been quite something to see.
Secretary Blinken went on to talk about how musicians like Louis Armstrong would travel the world playing for war-torn countries and also playing for like Germany behind the Iron Curtain. He also talked about how the initiative will use the power of music to educate by launching new types of English language learning, adding there's an extraordinary thirst for learning the language, expanding access to education and to jobs around the world, and supporting aspiring artists and musicians so they can participate and grow creative local economies. Now, Chuck D, Herbie Hancock, Armani White, Breland, Denise Graves, Grace Bowers, Jelly Roll, Justin Tranter, Kane Brown, Lainey Wilson, and Teddy Swims were named U.S. Global Music Ambassadors. Now, we caught up with, Chuck D had remarks during the event. He talked about what the opportunity means to him. Here's what he had to say.
It's the time for us all, as USA, American, and music artists, songwriters, and producers to step up and do our part by sharing our talents, our time, our understanding of the real connections that we could make through music and culture, that we could not only engage younger generations, and how young is young right now, right? Young, it could be under 40. who will be and who already are our future leaders, and also encourage peace in the communities and countries worldwide. I've been fortunate, and I started out with this guy behind me, at 116 countries out of the so-called 214. I've seen culture, music, and I've seen it move things in many ways. And this is a serious appointment at an urgent time. And my good friend Tom Morello of Rage Against the Machine and my partner in Prophets of Rage said it best. You can't wait for things to happen. You got to make it happen. Now, I said a long time throughout my career, outside my art and music, that culture and arts brings human beings together for our similarities and knocks the differences to the side. Norman Granz was that person who took people around and worked with the U.S. government at the time to take jazz artists across the planet in the 1940s. But here we are through the partnership with YouTube, where if you don't physically get there, the virtuosity of the screens could have an accountability and responsibility to not just go there, but also receive the art around the world to teach us how to have a better place here.
Now, he was talking about the person behind him. He was referencing music executive Leor Cohen, who is, freaking legend in the game, who also shared remarks during the event. And shortly after the event, I was able to catch up with rapper Armani White, who had the viral hit Billie Eilish, and Black, what he references his genre as cross-country music star Breland. Let's hear more from them about what the appointment means to them.
It's dope. It just means, it means that we are the next generation of voices. We're the next generation of voices that people want to look at 10, 20 years, 40 years, 50 years now and be like, yo, they made a difference. They, they spoke to the world. And especially in a time right now where it's like, global turmoil, like we are the voices that can speak up and say something to make a difference. So I'm excited for that.
I think for me, I've always wanted my music to represent something more, and this really falls in perfect alignment with what I've already been doing. I think it pours some gas on the flame for me. We've had a lot of success internationally, even in ways that sometimes we don't have here in the States, and so we've spent a lot of time in Europe, Australia. I've spent time out in South Africa writing and learning about the Afrobeats culture, and I think for an initiative like this, it really gives me an opportunity to do what I'm doing in an even more meaningful way.
What do you guys think about that? Music is like universal language, right? Do you agree?
It is.
Absolutely.
I agree. Music, math, and sex.
Food. I was going to say food and sports.
Yeah, and food are the three universal languages. Not even really sports, though, because, you think about something like, football. I ain't talking about American football. I'm talking about football.
Soccer.
It's the biggest sport in the world, but it's not really that big in America,
It's getting there,
It's
though.
getting there, but it's not as big as it is other places. But yeah, food, music, sex, math, universal languages.
I never thought about sex being in there, but okay.
Everybody has everything. Everything has sex, Morgan. Everything,
okay.
Even
You're
fish.
Right. That would explain
That's
a
right.
lot. Okay. But so I definitely think this initiative is really cool, using music as a tool to not only educate but bring people together. It's definitely a thing. I think we tend to unite. Music can play, and as long as it's a bop, yeah, we definitely gonna vibe. Switching gears to some unfortunate sports news. The Super Bowl championship, Kansas City Chiefs are moving on from their troubled defensive linemen. Kansas City has decided to release defensive tackle Isaiah Buggs following multiple arrests this season. I've talked about him within the few weeks I've been on this show. I've talked about him about 3 or 4 times now. The 27-year-old was arrested and booked on a domestic violence and burglary charge in Tuscaloosa, Alabama on June 16th. In May, he had been charged with 2 misdemeanor counts of second-degree animal cruelty in Tuscaloosa, which he thought was basically a way to get him out of there because he had a hookah lounge. But his bail on the animal cruelty charges have been revoked. And he is currently actually actually in jail in Tuscaloosa County. So hopefully by the time, the show ends, he may have posted bail or bond.
The NFL don't play about no dogs. Ask Michael Vick. He probably could have got away with the domestic violence charges. But boy, as soon as you hurt an animal, they got to get you up out of there.
Yeah. Well, There you have it. That's your front page news. I'm Morgan Wood. You can follow me on socials at Morgan Media, MorgynMedia. And be sure to check out more news coverage. I've got more exclusives on the Black Information Network at BINnews.com. Thank y'all. See y'all tomorrow.
All righty. Thank you, Morgan. Now, when we come back, Kalani will be joining us. Her album Crash is out right now. We're going to kick it with Kalani, so don't move. It's The Breakfast Club. Good morning.
Wake that ass up. Early in the morning. The Breakfast Club.